Hi, I'm Sammy. I'm a happily married mum of twins. I live near Chichester, and I have been in the past a fully qualified butcher. But after a broken back and a fractured neck in 2009, I now have a different mission. A mission to be involved in the Church of England and to be the next Vicar of Dibley. That's my mission. Let's look together at the Messiah's mission in this series. Who is he? The Servant. This is the second servant song, and here the Messiah's servant himself is speaking. We have no idea of his actual name, but he does have a name. See Isaiah chapter 49 verse 1. In the first servant song, with the dispensing of justice as part of his identity, the Messiah's servant is a king, but not just a king, something much more as well. In this song, the Messiah's servant appears as if he is a prophet by the things he is saying. He was called Isaiah 49:1. The words he speaks are as if they were a double-edged sword. Isaiah 49:2. Despite the opposition, he perseveres to gain the reward and to glorify God. Isaiah 49:3. We discover his name is Israel, not the nation of Israel itself, but as a person who embodies all that Israel was meant to be and to do. This Messiah's servant would glorify God in all his ways. This servant is a prophet who is also a king. This Messiah's servant is a perfect incarnation of God's light, God's covenant, and God's salvation. Wow. The servant's mission. In verse 5, the Messiah's servant's mission is clear. Firstly, he will be a light to the nation of Israel, and then to be a light to the nations. Isaiah 49:4 and 7 intimates that the Messiah's servant will suffer for being who he is, despised and abhorred in slavish servitude. This Messiah's servant will be despised by the very people he has been sent to. But he will eventually be worshipped and honoured by rulers and kings. He is on a mission to bring all people back into relationship with God, who is the Redeemer of Israel and his Holy One. The exiled people will be restored to the land. Isaiah 49:8. People are described as being freed from captivity and have all manner of needs met. Isaiah 49:9-10. The Messiah's servant will gather people back to God, just as a shepherd gathers his flock of sheep. And it won't just be a restored Israel, but all people from all lands and nations. Hence, in Isaiah 49:12 it says, "Behold, these shall come from far, and behold, these from the north and from the west." This Messiah's servant, servant king, and servant prophet will shepherd people back into relationships with God and dispense God's justice throughout the whole world. That is all part of the Messiah's mission, to bring comfort to people and compassion on the afflicted. Isaiah 49:13. Then, as if bursting from the seams with praise, we sing, "Heavens, and be joyful, earth, and break forth into singing. Mountains, for Yahweh has comforted his people and will have compassion on his afflicted." Wow. Jesus as the servant. So how is Jesus this Messiah servant? Paul quotes Isaiah 49:8 when writing to the church in Corinth in 2 Corinthians 6:1-2. He says, "As God's fellow workers, we urge you not to receive God's grace in vain. For he says, 'In the time of my favour I heard you, and in the day of salvation I helped you.' I tell you, now is the time of God's favour. Now is the day of salvation." Paul here is saying to the Corinthian church to grasp hold of God's offer of salvation right now, because it is a time acceptable to God. But who is Paul talking about? Paul is talking about the man, Jesus Christ. Later on in that same letter to the church of Corinth, Paul writes, "All this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ, and gave us the ministry of reconciliation, that God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting men's sins against them, and he has committed to us the message of reconciliation." 2 Corinthians 5:18-19. Jesus Christ said of himself that he was the Good Shepherd in John 10, and the light of the world, come to rescue those walking in darkness, John 8:12. All images portrayed in this servant song of Isaiah 49:1-13. Jesus came to save the lost, John 12:47, and to gather all people from all places back into relationship with God. Jesus Christ, the man who was despised, abhorred, and rejected by his own people, just as the servant of Isaiah 49 was to be. Jesus Christ, who is honoured and worshipped, just as Isaiah 49 tells us the servant would be. Jesus Christ, the servant, king, and prophet, who had as his mission statement Mark 10:45, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." Wow. Jesus Christ, servant Messiah, servant King, and servant prophet. Wow.